4th District Tennessee Congressman Scott Desjarlais says he's sorry it came to this, but he regretfully supports the idea of issuing a citation, a contempt citation, against the Attorney General of the United States. And he offered to, and I accepted his invitation to put us in touch with Congressman Darrell Issa, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, who is leading this effort. We bring in and welcome Congressman Scott Desjarlais. Welcome to Nashville's Morning News. And Congressman Issa, welcome as well.
Good morning, Ralph.
I appreciate you coming in. Now we have Congressman Issa. Congressman Issa, are you there?
Yes, you do, and thanks for having us both on and covering an issue that I think so many of your listeners are wondering, how did we get so wrong here in Washington, think?
And will you tell me once and for all, is it Issa or Issa? And I apologize for even having to ask.
No, it's a perfectly great question. My grandfather came from Lebanon, the coastal Lebanon and the Mediterranean. His name was Darrell Issa, like a good Lebanese boy, and he decided he was going to anglicize it, so he became Big Dave Issa. So if you say Issa, you say it like my grandfather. If you say Issa, you say it like somebody from that region of the world.
So it really is okay either way. Well, that's good.
Desjarlais, you should be more careful about it. It took all of us a while to realize that Scott was a very serious person with a very serious name.
Scott is a very serious person. And Scott, why did you come to the conclusion finally that you're going to have to support a contempt citation against Eric Holder for withholding these documents?
Well, this could have been a very simple process. We started asking for documents and witnesses last year, and Eric Holder knows the game that in a Congress you have 2 years to accomplish something. So if we don't get the information we need by the end of the 112 Congress, this all goes away and we start over. And Chairman Issa led a delegation to Mexico City last summer, and we went and spoke with the Mexican agents, and there was really no coordination with them, so there was no good endpoint to this fast and furious operation, and that was just a piece of the puzzle. And Chairman Issa pushed again and again, gave the Attorney General numerous opportunities to give us what we needed, and clearly he's slow playing us.
As I understand it, Chairman Issa, the Attorney General says you're just simply asking for more than you need. He's given you everything that you need. You're now just pestering him and keeping him from doing his job, all for political purposes.
Well, you're articulating exactly what his position is. It's one of those constitutional questions that the American people want to see properly resolved. We would like to know why a false statement, a letter that was erroneous, was given to Congress, why their legislative representative came up and said, we never let guns walk. 10 months later, when they finally said, well, obviously you've proven that we did let guns walk, we presented emails that whistleblowers gave us showing that they even were concerned about how many were walking. When we finally did that, they retracted the letter, but they won't answer the question of, well, who presented the lie to the American people and covered it up for 10 months? That would be a typical constitutional challenge. Here's the other one, though, and this is the one that Dr. Desjarlais and I are most concerned about. Brian Terry's family, his mother, his brother, his cousins, they simply said, will you hold the people accountable that had this crazy idea and knowingly let 2,000 weapons go toward Mexico, 2 of which ended up at Brian Terry's murder? Would you make sure they're held accountable? We can't do that when they won't allow us to see the chain of all the people involved who knew and approved this program. And clearly they're still there. They're very much still there.
Who has anybody been held accountable yet? Who, and if they have, why are you convinced that's not enough and we haven't gotten down deep enough yet?
Well, we have had one resignation, the U.S. Attorney, Dennis Burke, right at the helm of it all in Phoenix. But that's typical Washington. He's a political appointee. He goes back to a cushy law job somewhere else. He'll probably end up in the next Democratic administration. There's no admission of any wrongdoing. And quite frankly, a U.S. attorney in Phoenix, it doesn't have the clout to get the money that was put together and the coordination with DEA and all these other ATF, all these other agencies to do it. It was very clearly the wiretaps and all the other activities were approved at a much higher level. And I think for Brian Terry's family, just having one person resign and go on to a higher paying law job isn't the answer to why is their son dead? Why didn't he come home for Christmas? When in fact it was these new powerful weapons in the hands of these people that killed him.
Do you have a specific suspicion about what Mr. Holder might be hiding, or are you just trying to find out what he is hiding?
We want to get to the truth. It is very possible, and he said it under oath, and I generally, unless I have reason to believe otherwise, I take people at their word when they say it under oath. He said basically he was so dispassionate and not caring that he didn't call the Terry family. He didn't read the memos that would have shown him what this gun walking was all about. He didn't insist on briefings before or after Brian Terry's murder that would have shown him the entire Fast and Furious program. He even said that the same thing happened in the Bush administration when a program called Wide Receiver, which was anything but similar. It was coordinated with the Mexican government. They followed the guns every minute in order to try to get them passed over the border and catch that next person on the Mexican side. It's possible that he just simply doesn't care enough to do his job.
There are some who might wonder if a contempt of Congress citation is enough. First of all, what is that? How much punishment or whatever is that? Is it enough if he has, in fact, if he's covering up his own misdeeds in this situation?
Well, I'll give you an example from the previous administration. President Bush, W. Bush, his attorney general dismissed 9 U.S. attorneys, which he had every right to do with their political appointees. But the Democrats were in the majority at that point, and they cried foul. They said it was political. They were covering up crimes and the like. When they couldn't get satisfactory answers, they went to a contempt in the Judiciary Committee, the other committee I serve on. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, they said then, if they weren't interested in contempt for contempt's sake, they wanted the other branch, the federal courts, the Article III judges, to order compliance with their request and thus get full discovery as to what went wrong. Very similar to, if you will, the Nixon administration of, executive privilege has limits. We're in the same position. We don't want contempt for contempt's sake. We want compliance on behalf of the American people to what is clearly their right to discover, particularly for Brian Terry's family, to discover why he didn't come home last Christmas.
This Justice Department has certainly taken us on quite a ride. They have attacked states over such things as illegal immigration. They have refused to pass duly passed and signed into law laws like the Defense of Marriage Act. They may have this gun-running business is just completely off the charts. Is this a uniquely, careless, out of control, political Justice Department, or just reflective of the administration as a whole?
Well, I think it's reflective of the administration in two ways. One, their decisions are driven by ideology. Some people agree with that ideology, but not by, if you will, the laws passed. And the second one is at all levels, whether it's GSA, whether it's Solyndra, whether it's all these other scandals, there's a little bit of a laissez-faire attitude about how the American people's money is spent and whether or not there's sort of compliance with the frugality that is more and more realized needs to happen in government. So if you ideologically disagree with them, you can obviously be upset, and Dr. Desjarlais and I do. But then you go to the other one of, why don't you just comply with the laws, even if you don't like them? Why don't you just save the American people from waste, fraud, and abuse, because that's what you swore to do? On that, I think Republicans, Democrats across the board should say, wait a second here. We've been making compromises. Well, parties in Las Vegas seemingly have been promoted by political appointees in this administration.
Congressman Desjarlais, while I have you both here on a subject well, let's wrap this up first, and then very quickly, and then I know you've got to go. What happens next with this contempt citation? Where do you stand? What's the next step?
Well, we produced a draft. We produced 64 pages, and that's now available on our website. It's available to the public. That lays out each of the multiple areas, nearly a dozen areas, in which we've gotten little or no answers at all, including who caused Congress to be lied to, which is not an insignificant one. And we floated it out to first the members like Dr. Desjarlais, then to a number of sympathetic Democrats, there are 31 who wrote a letter asking the president to comply. Today it'll go out to the Congress as a whole, every member of the House, asking them if they have any questions, if they see any areas of criticism, mistakes, and so on, in an effort to get bipartisan support for this, and hopefully, and I always say this, hopefully, to wake up the administration that reasonable compliance should be the solution, that if we go to any additional means, which is a decision of the leadership, it's not a decision of a committee chairman, that we do so reluctantly. This is not a race to try to change the outcome of anyone's career or the next election. This is just trying to get to the truth. So you'll see it a little slow, but you'll see it steady and with constantly explaining to people that this is unacceptable under the Constitution. It's unacceptable to the American people.